Welcome to Warhammer Warscroll Review. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Soulblight faction Warscroll, Bat Swarms.
Warscroll Review.
Bat Swarms are pretty ineffective offensively and defensively, but do offer some benefits to a death army. Bat Swarms have a decently fast 12-inch flying movement, 5 wounds and no save is trash, though the unit has the normal undead bravery of 10. Felbat's razor-sharp teeth have a 3-inch range for some reason, and 5 attacks, but the model's weapons are near useless. If the unit somehow does damage, a model in the unit can heal all their wounds back. The Bat Swarm's main purpose is Cloud of Horrors. The ability reduces to hit rolls by 1 for enemy units within 12 inches in the shooting phase. This ability is actually fairly effective, coupled with some of the other to-hit reductions for the Death faction. Bat Swarms can obviously be summoned like all other Death models, with a casting value of 5. The spell summons 3 models, but you pay for Bat Swarms in sets of 2, so I suppose it wastes 1? In any case, only pay for and deploy 2. This is one of the few units worth summoning. Summon these models in 18 inches away, near some enemy shooting units. This unit forces the opponent to shoot at these trash models, shoot with the -1 to hit reduction, or move out of range of the swarm. Keep this in mind when summoning the models. Many enemy shooting units can just move back a few inches to get out of the bubble, though they will still have to deal with them for the next turns. Placing the Bat Swarms out of line of sight makes this tactic even better. Charging the Bat Swarms in will sometimes be an option, but a 9-inch charge is unreliable. Bat Swarms are cheap at 80 points per set of 2. They max out at 8 models, but there's little value in doing so. Minimum sized units are just as well, since their only purpose is reducing enemy to hit rolls. Bat Swarms have a few synergies in the Death Grand Alliance. Deathless Minions gives the Swarms their protection, with a chance to ignore wounds on a 6. In a Soulblight faction, the Swarms would not only benefit from their Deathless Minions equivalent, they would be augmented by Bloodlines. Lords of Night would increase survivability for Bat Swarms, separating from the rest of the force. Necromantic would synergize well with Clouds of Horrors by offering another negative aura, in this case being Bravery -1. Swift Death is probably the most beneficial for Bat Swarms. This Bloodline offers them an extra 2-inch move, giving them a 14-inch movement. Archon, Mortarch of Sacrament, has a command ability that allows Death Wizards to add 6 inches to the range of their spells. This, paired with Archon's increased summoning potency, would allow the player to almost guarantee the ability to put a Bat Swarm 24 inches away to disrupt enemy shooting. The Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror would be an expensive way to move the Bat Swarm, but the monster could be used in a pinch to ensure the Bat Swarms get to the perfect position to affect enemy shooting. Bat Swarms can not only be included in Soulblight and Death Grand Alliance factions, but they're also allies for Nighthaunt forces. There are a few models across the Death range that will pair with the Bat Swarm's Cloud of Horror ability. The Cursed Book is an artifact Death Grand Alliance has at its disposal. The item would subtract 1 from hit rolls for any enemy within 3 inches of the bearer. The Cursed Book can obviously only be used while the bearer is in combat with the enemy. Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, has a pretty powerful command ability that would reduce the enemies to hit rolls by 1 within 15 inches of the Death Lord. Finally, the Mourngul is another model that has an ability to reduce to hit rolls for enemies. The Mourngul's rule affects units within 6 inches. The Bat Swarm is the only one of these abilities that has the limitation of only affecting models in the shooting phase. While she is the most costly, Neferata pairs the best with Bat Swarms, just because she starts with a large reduction aura. The Death player can rely on just the Bat Swarm, or combine 1 or more sources of to-hit reductions. Even though the rule of 1 now allows 6s to always hit, there is still a point in stacking the modifiers beyond an enemy's to-hit value. Stacking the modifiers will build in redundancies to the tactic. In general, the Bat Swarms will at least need a Death Wizard to be summoned on the battlefield. The Death player can start them on the table, but they are pretty easily destroyed in that case. If there is a good place to hide, and the Bat Swarm can get in range of the enemy shooting within a turn or 2, it may be better to start them on the table. In most cases, it will probably be easier to summon it to the battle. Bat Swarms receive a 3 out of 5. The models are easy to insert into Death armies and can be summoned in to affect enemies. The only thing holding this unit back is the modifier only working in the shooting phase. What do you think of Bat Swarms? What War Scrolls would you like to see reviewed next on the channel? Leave your answers, thoughts, and questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.